cat in the wall, eh? Okay, now you're talking my language.
Do you ever drunk Baileys from a shoe?
Oh, great. Thanks, Mother, for replacing the baby aspirin with LSD.
How much you want to make a bet I can throw a football over the mountain?
Boo Ryan Day. Boo Brian Hartline. That's what we're all saying after the first series, and the Buckeyes aren't perfect. And that's just a catastrophe as the Buckeyes beat on Akron. This is the View from C-Deck. This is our review of the Akron game, and we're going to also preview Western Michigan while we're at it, since both games don't require an entire podcast to themselves. But for the first time this season, we're here with the Haas, who was live in the shoe on Saturday. Jason, what's up, bud? How you doing?
Doing good. Survived the heat. The rain held off, thankfully, and yeah, I got to suffer through those brutal TV timeouts and having to spot the ball and then look over the review and then come back and call a timeout. And yeah, that was one of my most brutal games I've ever been to. Honestly.
That was that stretch where there was like 2 plays in 10 minutes while they had to move the chains back because they moved the chains erroneously.
Yeah.
And then reviewed the play and then had to move the chains back. It was a disaster. I thought CBS's presentation was also horrible because Nestler and Gary Danielson, neither one of them can remember players' names anymore or anything like that, but their production team tries to jam a replay into every freaking gap there is. So half the time you're coming out of a replay as the play's already going. And it was really annoying, really annoying to watch, but you didn't have to worry about that. But Buckeyes win 52-6. Shouldn't be a problem for most people, I would think. You won by 46. If you can't be at least not mad about that, you may want to consider spending your time a different way on Saturdays, because 46-point wins, I mean, come on. But the first half was a little sloppy. And Jason, how was the electricity in the building? Was it dulled down after, especially the first drive? Jeremiah Smith drops what would have been a touchdown, I think, on that tunnel screen. It was already well blocked, and I think he saw it and took his eye off the ball a little bit, started going before he had it. Had some freshman jitters.
Yeah, freshman jitters. I didn't chalk that up to that. I thought the energy going into this game, at least from my point of view, and how I was kind of optimistically hopeful. I didn't have a lot of expectations for the offense. The defense, I was expecting them to be lights out, and I think after that first half, it kind of went about how I thought it would go. I'm not trying to say I'm a genius. Just I knew that there would be some issues on offense. When you have a whole new play calling system and new quarterback and new offensive lineman in some parts, I wasn't really too upset. The only thing that you could be upset with was that last play by Will Howard
At the end of the first half.
Yeah, at the end of the first half. So people were definitely a little angry and stuff. But man, I was just angry with just the TV timeouts and how hot it was.
Yeah. Oh man, those TV timeouts had to be horrible. We can start with the offense. Obviously, it's clunky coming out. I said it in the podcast if you watched it. That I was like, man, people are going to go nuts if we don't blow our up 35-0 at halftime. Especially when some people on 11 Warriors are making that the goal for every game in these first 3 games, which is just ridiculous. We have new players at every level, Jason. We got quarterback, center, a running back transfer, a freshman wide receiver, and a new play caller. Things aren't going to go magically snap into place. Yeah. They started to look a lot better in the second half. Will Howard, who I want to talk about first, because he's obviously going to be the key to this season. I thought he looked pretty good throwing the ball, especially. Looked very mobile in the pocket. Love seeing that. Haven't seen that since CJ. I guess it was only 1 year, but it was nice to see that again. Made the one bad decision to throw that ball to Travion, but other than that, he's finishes 17 for 28 for 228, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Could have been a lot better if Jeremiah does catch that and take it to the house. If the refs get the instant replay call right, which that ball did not move. Not a million times I've seen the ball move, quote unquote, the way it did when Ibuka caught that. It was a catch. He got a touchdown anyway after that. It didn't matter. Another drop by Tate, the first possession or second possession. He really should have been 19 for 26 for about 280 yards and 3 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns, and then them are all just sucking his dick after that. Our running numbers don't look terrible. but I thought we blocked really poorly in the first half. So did Ryan Day. What'd you think about that, Jason?
Well, yeah, I mean, it seems like Ryan Day's running game is carrying over into Chip Kelly's offense. We're gonna have the inability to run up the middle, and you're just doing a lot of these stretch running plays to the outside, trying to get the edge. I mean, Henderson looks like prime Henderson. He looks legit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna say I'm not impressed with Judkins, because at the same time you have to remember he's coming into a whole new system. I mean, running with a whole new team, he's got to learn how to run on a field with these guys and linemen. We'll see what he has to play, and if they kind of are a nice change of pace. If there's, it's too tough for me to tell if they're completely different backs yet or not. The running game, I'm not too worried about it yet, because I'm not pushing the alarm that this is going to take all the way through the Iowa game for us to really see what we're made of, or see what we kind of have here.
Yeah. Quinshon, the only thing I'm going to diss him on is he had an absolutely pathetic blocking attempt, like after he had a few bad carries. I mean, pathetic blocking attempt in pass pro that got Howard hit, or maybe Howard may have moved out of the way. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I just remember like looking at him, and it was just like a weak little like chuck to the shoulder when he's supposed to be just in pass pro. But yeah, he's got. I mean, his lanes got blown up. But the only thing I'll say is he kind of reminded me of Maurice Wells, which, if you remember him, is not a good thing. That came from Florida, looks smaller. I mean, maybe it's the hair and the size and stature too, but like kind of would only get what's there and nothing more. Like first contact kind of brought him down. He wasn't exactly that. He was a little more slippery, but it wasn't the best debut. But I think I'm not worried about it yet. And I thought James Peoples looked great anyway. Now we got to talk about Jeremiah Smith though, coming in. After that first series, he gets the drop. He gets the false start. He also had he lined up wrong later on and got us a penalty. Lined up in the backfield when he shouldn't have, or off the line of scrimmage. And he also missed a terrible block on another screen pass that they threw that ended up getting blown up. But other than that, though, when he's down there trying to catch the ball, he looks like Marvin 2.0.
I know Marvin's definitely taller than him. He doesn't appear to be, he doesn't appear to be 6'3" even. I don't know, he doesn't look like he's a big body receiver. I'm not saying he's bad. He's gonna be
jacked.
He looks just jacked. He looks like he looks like a little bit beefer version of Garrett Wilson, in my opinion. Like I don't know. He's gonna be the guy. He's got all that it takes. I'm looking at this guy. I'm like, man, this guy doesn't look like he's a big taller. He looks like he's fucking an almost NFL type receiver with the muscle build he's got already.
Yeah, he looks like AJ Brown almost already.
yeah, like a guy like that. You looking at him from up in the seats, I'm like, that guy's not 6'4". He looks, but he's good.
Oh, he's really good. I mean, for a freshman first game, that's about as good as you can ask. It makes the huge one-handed catch too. Almost had 3 TDs in the opener. He's on pace for like 96 touchdowns in his career, Jason. It's no big deal. Not that we're keeping track. Tight ends, not much to say about. O-line, we're missing Jackson, missing our best O-lineman. I thought Ciravel did a pretty good job, though, at left guard, to be honest with you. Blocking in space is what I would say was the worst thing I saw several times. Yes, it was more than one lineman. They would get out there and kind of get lost. Like, they didn't know who to block once they got out there.
That's why, those stretch plays weren't working. When Henderson tried to bounce it outside, it seemed like it was 50-50 whether he could really make anything of it. And when he did, it's because it was all on him.
Yeah, Josh Simmons had a bad whiff, and Carson Hensman had a terrible one where he ran out, and just completely ran right by a defender and didn't block him, and that's the guy who made the play. Maybe he blocked the first guy you see, not the second one behind him. Defensively, though, I can't complain about anything. They were on fire. They made plays, 5 sacks, forced a couple turnovers, scored a touchdown. Basically gave up 2 big plays that put Akron in field goal position, and from your hometown their field goal kicker was really impressive, I thought.
Yeah.
And both plays were short yardage situation where they ran kind of like a tricky formation, some tricky action. Joe Moorhead drew up a good play, and they got us on it. I'm not going to complain about that. And also what Casey and I said a lot of, and a lot of people have said in the preseason, we wanted to see rotation on this team, especially on the defensive line. They rotated them. There were tons of guys in there all game long. They didn't wait either. They rotated them in early.
Yep. I mean, and Josh Simon didn't play, so it was nice to see. I don't know. It looked like Sonny Styles was kind of leading that defense. He was kind of doing a lot of the audibles and stuff, the line shifting guys, and it was kind of good to see him kind of take that leadership. I wasn't looking for Caleb Downs. The guy who popped off the screen was Ransom. Ransom was all over the effing field. He was making plays left and right. He was the MVP of that game from all points of view. I mean, other than Jeremiah, but it's got. I mean, there's just so much. JTT looks big. Like it looks like he took conditioning seriously this year. Tyleik Williams looks like he is a monster, and like they look like they are ready for the NFL. I was kind of skeptical. Like Sawyer and JTT never looked like they were getting bigger, and then all of a sudden they come out in the field. I'm like, all right, they look like they are actually bigger this year. Kind of like USC. I saw some of their transitions from last year to this year. They've gained like 1,200 pounds across the trenches. But anyways, it looks legit. I knew our defense was going to be good, and it blew me away, really.
I actually said last week in our podcast, I was like, Sawyer especially and Styles, like a bunch of them, they look big, like almost in a way that you might question how they got that big. Because it's definitely noticeable in like a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, and JTT was wearing a long sleeve shirt, which I don't know how the hell he did that the whole game.
He does it every game. I see him in these like hot summer practices. They got pictures of him wearing that crap.
Yeah, hats off to him, but he still looks.
Yeah, he's a beast. Tackling wasn't the only nit I'll pick. We missed quite a few tackles, but they were all like not easy tackles, but they would have been big plays like had they made the tackles, and they end up being first downs. You're kind of like annoyed by it, but it doesn't matter. They gave up like 167 yards, 177 yards of total offense in that game. You can't complain about that, and they outscored Akron by themselves. But so done with the Zips, done with like the worst team we're going to play on the schedule, at least like coming into the season. On to Western Michigan, who actually led Wisconsin in the fourth quarter of that game last week or 2 days ago. It really came down there. They had a 4th and 1 at the 50-yard line and went for it with like 7 minutes left and didn't get it. And that they were down by 7 at that point, and Wisconsin goes down and scores again. Their offense wasn't particularly good in that game, but they were very competitive and they ran the ball a lot, so they could be annoying. But I don't see, like, if they can't score against Wisconsin, how are they going to score against us?
No, they're not going to be able to run the ball. I don't. That's the. I'm ready to push this envelope for the defense being like one of the best units of all time. I mean, this is scary. I mean, it's pretty. I'm trying to not be a homer here, but this is nuts.
The pieces are there. We're missing like you said, Sonny's the one running around like adjusting the defense. They all say Simon is like the man at that. Like that's what he does. So you're missing like the heart of your defense, your signal caller, and you still just go out there and basically shut teams down and make big plays. And like it was the mix of aggression. I think we can just be aggressive because of what we have at the back end. Like you said, Ransom's all over the field. Caleb's all over the field. Like they're making plays all over the place. When you have that behind you, you can take chances up front. I mean, Denzel looked great, I thought, like breaking on the ball. He gave up a completion that was like unfortunate.
That was him being aggressive there, and he probably will know better. And if that's an Oregon game, he's not probably going to fucking do that.
Yeah, maybe they go. I mean, what's great is you're putting this on film. You can switch it up. That's what I like. Be in between the first year of Knowles and last year of Knowles, and switch up like how aggressive you're being within games, within quarters, or game to game. It's gonna be really tough for teams to like move the ball because it's just sheer talent, speed, physicality all over this defense. That poor kid at quarterback, by the way, Joe Moorhead should be charged with some sort of like negligence for keeping they're running like read options, and that kid is getting killed. Jack Sawyer about snapped him in half 3 different times. He definitely has like a broken rib. Like the pain he was in, you could see they're showing on TV. I felt really bad for Finley.
Yeah. The biggest thing I'm looking for, my biggest takeaway from Will Howard, and that's going to be what makes or breaks this season. I mean, no matter how good the defense is. I mean, I just think Will Howard's got to have a little bit more downfield presence. Last season at Kansas State, his leading receiver was a tight end with 670 yards, and I know he doesn't have the playmakers at Kansas State as he does here. But the fact that I don't know if his tight end was really even targeted in this game.
There was one corner route to Cac Merrick that was played very poorly by the tight end. Like it was a good throw by him. I mean, not great, but good enough that it was very poorly played. I don't want to see more of that.
Yeah. And in his first year at Kansas State as the starter, his leading receiver was like 7. He hasn't had like 1,000-yard receiver. He spread the ball around pretty well. And so my biggest thing that I took away from that game was he kind of focused on Jeremiah, was kind of looking at the number one option, zoned in on it a lot, and didn't let plays develop sometimes. And when he did, he underthrew that route to Jeremiah, the downfield. So I'm really looking for that. That's going to be to take the top off the defense, see if he has that capability just to find the tight ends because he's comfortable doing that. If you can do that now and open up the middle of the field, and let's put Jeremiah and Mbuka, let them go down the field a little bit more. That's going to be something that needs to develop over the next course of a couple of weeks, is taking that top off the defense and seeing if he can do that.
Yeah, it actually was a really bad throw on that one because that was cover 2. Because they let Jeremiah just run free, and he should have thrown it out towards the sideline a little more. He threw it more towards the middle of the field as well as it being underthrown.
Yep.
But, I mean, we need him to just be willing, a willing passer. Like, if there's the one criticism or thing I'll take, like, of the JT Barrett versus Cardale thing, I didn't think Cardale threw a better deep ball, to be honest with you. But he was just way more willing to do it. He just would chuck it up there. But it was like, I mean, most of those passes that he completed, they're underthrown. Go watch the tape. They're underthrown balls, like almost all of them, except for like one to Devin Smith. They're like
his arm strength doesn't jump off the screen. It's not.
Oh yeah.
It's like, I mean, it's
not always a tight spiral either.
Yes, and at least his legs will add another aspect of this offense, being able to run the ball more. I think it's going to be this is a different quarterback than what we've had for like the last 10 years. It feels like this quarterback, his arm strength isn't going to be what's going to get us over the edge. It's going to be a whole lot of different. It's going to have to be a dynamic offense, or JT, I guess.
It's back to JT. You need him to distribute, make plays with his feet. What I liked though was his pocket presence in the Akron game. Like he evaded sacks 3 or 4 times that would have been easy sacks last year on McCord. Easy sacks, and who knows where we're at then.
That's the first game that we haven't had a sack in over 2 years, or just about 2 years.
Yeah, and he should have been sacked like at least 3 times. One of them, like he made an amazing play to get out of, like 2 different times in that same play. The one thing I also want to see is more rotation on offense. Man, we did not put many guys in.
Well, receivers, I know we have Ennis. I never even really saw Ennis.
Ennis played, yeah. He got in a little bit, but I don't think he had a catch during like the main part of the game.
Yeah,
I don't think he ended up with any.
I left at the beginning of the fourth quarter. I was wiped, so I don't know if he got in the fourth quarter.
No, he got in several times, but he had 0 catches. Yeah. Had 2 nice punt returns though.
Yeah. So, I mean, Jeremiah Smith, I get it. He's legit, but we got Ibuka's got to get more involved. The tight end's got to get more involved. He has to really kind of get his mind off of the number one option, whoever it is on the play.
Yeah, I think he'll do that as he gets more comfortable with the offense. It's the first game. That's what everybody. It's the first.
Yes,
game.
I know. I'm just saying that's what over the next couple of weeks I'm going to keep seeing if that develops. That's the only thing I really am looking forward to get better. Because I know the other stuff's going to get corrected. I know the running game's going to get corrected because the offensive line is they have to be better than last year. The last year was as bad as they could be.
Yeah. Anything you want to see from the defense Saturday? Playing a team that's much better at running the ball, I guess overall, at least more willing. They ran the ball 33 times to passing, and only 19 times against Wisconsin, and they ran like somewhat okay. Like 3.6 yards of carry isn't good, but it'll get you a first down.
6 points, scored more than he gave up. I mean, I know one of those was kind of lucky tip ball, but every defense gets those, and they just capitalized on it. I think the offense, you can gain more from the offense in these kind of games than you can from the defense, because the defense is not going up against the playmakers to really be tested. The offense is right now. We need to work out the kinks of the offense. We know what we have on defense. So I think these games we're learning more about the offense than anything.
You're right about that. So I always ask Casey this usually, but I'll ask you. End of every podcast, did this week make you feel more confident in the Buckeyes winning a national championship, or less confident, or are you staying the same?
Just based off of our game or the whole landscape? Sorry.
See, Casey always answers it in the whole landscape. I'm usually just talking about us, but go ahead. But either way.
I think both. I'm going to say less. Either way you look at it, I'm going to say a little less.
Because of Georgia? I watched a lot of that Georgia game. They're good.
Georgia, the whole SEC. The whole SEC looks like they're dominant. Oregon, I don't know. Too early to tell. We're not going to be tested in the Big Ten other than Penn State maybe, or I don't know. Whole landscape, less.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'm about the same as I was, which I think it's Georgia, and that's about it that I'm really worried about. I mean, maybe Bama because they just have the talent, but like, they beat Western Kentucky 63-0, and people are like, oh my gosh, look at that, they still got it. I'm like, dude, our worst offense in the last decade scored 63 against Western Kentucky last year, so let's not beat our chest too much about that.
Yeah, I'm just saying that. I don't know. I'd probably say about the same. I don't know. That it's
Yeah.
These games suck.
These games do suck. You, as a season ticket holder, get to suffer the most. All right, but that'll do it for this week's episode. We're gonna make a gambling podcast, though. Hopefully, a couple of nights from now, when Direwolf can get on here. Direwolf went 5-0. Jason, 5-0 again. He went 64% last year, 5-0 this week. The dude's on fire, so you tune into that, and we will see you guys next time. Like, subscribe, tell us that we actually are wrong, and we should be running around thinking that the whole room's on fire, or like some of you did on one of our other podcast comment section. But for the Hoss, I'm just Matt, and we will see you guys next time.
Hey guys! Oh, big gulps, huh? All right. Well, see you later.
A rich man's world.